So this concept came from that area in the 18th and 19th centuries. And it is actually not a crime. It is not considered as a crime, but it's a counterfeiting fraud. Its etymology begins in the first century AD, and it takes this particular word from a Latin word "plagiaris," that means kidnapper, and it denotes stealing someone's work. And it was pioneered by a Roman poet named Martial, who complained that another poet who had always kidnapped his poem or verses. So from that, the word plagiarism comes from the word plagiaris, that is a Latin root word. So next we come to the comparison between plagiarism and copyright infringement. Copyright infringement, as we know, is a violation of the rights of a copyright holder. When material whose use is restricted by the copyright is used without consent. So according to the copyright law, a person is restricted from using another one without his or her consent, according to the copyright law. But here the plagiarism indicates or that constitute the false claims of authorship, regardless of whether the material is protected by copyright or not. So if that material is protected by either protected or not protected, that is not the problem. But here, a claim of authorship, a false claim of authorship has happened. That is related with the plagiarism. So both are different contexts. And normally in our research work, in the academic research writing, there is a lot of plagiarism is happening. A lot of stealing of ideas, thoughts, and expressions in everyday life, we can see. In research, either in PhD research or in the PG or UG project work area also. So it is actually considered as an unethical thing, and it's a fraud thing as considered by the academicians. So how we can avoid this plagiarism? First, we understand the context. Do not copy paste the text from a reference paper. If you want to copy or paste text from a reference paper, you should properly cite that thing or restate that idea in your own words so that the plagiarism will not happen. Even it is restated, that also has to be cited because the idea is also very important. Then use quotes to indicate that the text has taken from another paper. So we usually refer so many papers, and when writing our research articles, we borrow such words or ideas from that, and we can use the quotes. The quotes should exactly the way they appear in the paper you take them from. Suppose you take a sentence as such from a paper, then you should take a quoting, or you should be put in an inverted comma so that it is properly cited at the end. We can cite at the end of that sentence by referring some numerals like 1, 2, 3, etc. And at the end, in the reference section, we can correspondingly we can put that particular numbers there. So this quoting is actually different from paraphrasing. So what is the difference between quoting and paraphrasing? Quoting is nothing but the reproduction of someone else's words. The words as such we are copied. That is called quoting. But paraphrasing is something different. Paraphrasing is using your own words to express what someone else has written. Someone has written something and we use that idea and use our own words so that it is expressed. So that is here, but the idea remains same. The idea remains same, but the sentence structure is different. That is the difference between quoting and paraphrasing. For example, I read a paragraph The elephant is the largest mammal in the world and can weigh nearly 8 tons. It has a massive body, large ears, and long trunk, which has many uses ranging from using it as a hand to pick up objects, as a horn to trumpet warnings, an arm raised in greeting to a horse for drinking water or bathing. So this is a quoted words that is in the inverted comma, and the source, the online source is indicated at the end. That is the actual copying of a particular section of sentence from that source. And now we move to the paraphrasing. How this quoting is paraphrased. The example, same example continues. The elephant is the largest mammal in the world and can weigh nearly 8 tons. The same sentence, no difference. But then the sentence structure became different. Its large floppy ears help to cool its body and protect it from insects. Its proboscis that runs from its head to the ground and is used as a tool and for drinking and bathing. Here the source is same, no difference, but the sentence structure, the keywords used in that sentences will be different. So some additional keywords have come here. So, but the idea does not lose at all. The examples on good paraphrasing can be found here in this website that is shown here. And next thing, how we can avoid the plagiarism. Third one is identify what does and does not need to be cited. Any words or ideas that are not your own but taken from another paper need to be cited. That is a very important thing because you need to cite the ideas or words that are not your own, but that should be taken from some another paper. There's some important ethic behind it. And one type of plagiarism is called self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism related with citing our own materials. For example, I had written a paper earlier, and now I have written one more paper. In the second paper, I suppose I will not use some words. Sorry, I am using some words from my own first paper, but I am not cited there. The first paper reference is not cited there. Then it is a self-plagiarism. That means whether others papers or our own paper, my own paper, we should cite. That's the ethics behind them. Suppose people have a notion that that's the author is myself. So why don't I cite that thing? That actually against the ethic rule behind this plagiarism. And actually, a paper when we published, that paper belongs to the publisher actually, in the business point of view. So that has to be cited. The scientific evidence you gathered after performing your tests should not be cited. Suppose you have done some experiments and you created some scientific evidence out of it, and that we should not be cited because they are the new things. So there is no need to cite that new scientific evidence, such things. And the next thing is facts or common knowledge need not be cited. For example, the common knowledge like the sun rises in the east or sets in the west. It's a common knowledge. It's a universal fact that we need not be cited. But if we are unsure about that, some sentences we are unsure, at that time we should include a reference with that. And the fourth rule is we should manage our citations. Maintain records of the sources you refer to. There are a lot of citation softwares like EndNote or Reference Manager, etc. And you can manage the citations used for the paper with these particular citation softwares. And we can use multiple references in the literature survey. As a sentence or an information is written, related with that information, 2 or more citations are needed. Then we can put as many number of citations as possible to that particular information. Okay, then the fifth rule is use plagiarism checkers. So plagiarism detection is possible, is widely possible in the era of this internet. A lot of tools like Authenticate, ET-Blast, and Turnitin. So many softwares are available. So nowadays it is very easy to detect any plagiarism happens. In the olden days or before this IT age, there is always difficulty in identifying the plagiarism because we have to search everything everywhere. But now it's readily available at our fingertips. So most of the plagiarism occurs in the literature review section of any document. For example, in a research thesis or manuscript, the most of the ideas we take is in the literature review section. So there is more chance in literature review as compared to any other chapters. So that has to be checked. And this is actually a window of Turnitin. It's a very famous plagiarism software. And here some sentences with the heading "The Goliath of the Sea" is written here by one person, and it is checked in this Turnitin feedback studio. Here some numbers are seen 1, 2, and 3. 1 is in the red color, and that particular sentence is copied from a site, Wikipedia, and its range or percentage is 16%. So that means we can see by online that how much percentage of plagiarism has happened from different sources, and it's actually an online process, and it's a slow process also. So in any way it is possible. So I think the plagiarism, just an overview on that. Now we go to the citation topic, and now I am remembering the quote from Charles Dickens, the famous writer in the Europe. No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another. So citation is a reference to source of information used in research. Anytime you directly quote, paraphrase, or summarize the essential elements of someone else's idea in your work, an in-text citation should follow. So if you want to quote or paraphrase or summarize something in your work, an in-text citation means it is within the text of research paper, which refers the reader to a fuller notation or end of paper citation that provides all necessary details about that source of information. That means in the article, when you are writing, you write a sentence and it has to be cited. For that, you at the end of that sentence, you should write a number in a square bracket, say 1, 2, or 3, in that way. And if it is number 1, then that we refer the reference in the reference section at the end of that paper, the corresponding number 1, that is actually linked with that particular sentence. So in the text of the article, we only indicate the numbers, some numerical numbers, and that numbers are actually linked to the end reference section. That is called the indexed citation. So everyone has a dream, whether it is a student, researcher, or administrator. Student always dream that I wish I had a lot of citations with my paper so that I can easily graduate. His dream is like that. Researcher has a dream that he's saying, I wish I had a lot of citations which can improve my H index and perhaps my reputation. An administrator, on the other hand, he thinks that citations can measure how good you are. So citations are very important in the academic research point of view. Student, researcher, administrator, everyone can get something out of it. So that's why it is important. It is important in two contexts, because how others give proper credit to others, how others give proper credit to other people, and second one is how count it as an indication of how influential the paper has been. Suppose your paper has been cited by so many other people, then people count your citation number. For example, I got a citation number for my particular paper as 100. Then it means that 100 research purpose after my publication, after my published paper is cited. My paper is cited by other people. So that number is actually an indicative of our influence or our strength of the research in that particular paper. So direct quotations and paraphrasing, actually I have indicated earlier. Direct quotations are the quotations in the inverted comma. That's the same sentence, no difference in structure or nothing is different in that. The same sentence is copied, but paraphrasing is actually rewording or rechanging the sentence so that the idea remains the same. So in the end of paper citations, you can see in the citation, you can see the author's name and article name, the publication information. The publication information contains journal title, date, volume, issue, pages, etc. And suppose you cite an online source, then there is a digital object identifier and a particular URL, universal resource locator of the information that you used. So URL and DOI, digital object identifier, are the two extra things when we refer to the online sources. So different types of citation styles exist. The most important ones are MLA, Modern Language Association citation, APA, American Psychological Association, CSA, Council of Scientific Edit, that one, then Chicago citation, then IEEE. These are the most important citation styles used in world today. And this MLA, APA, CSA, and Chicago are mainly it's related with arts or social science or sociology or psychology related that things. And the IEEE is mostly used in the technical side. So here you can see a structure, citation structure in MLA citation. And this MLA citation is mainly used in literature related works. Here you can see the name as works cited, instead of a reference or bibliography something. So works cited is the particular name used in MLA citation, and here the author's name at the beginning, and in the author's name you can see two parts, Besthoff and Len. Besthoff is the second part of his name, then comma, then the first part of his name, then a full stop, then the article title in an inverted comma, then the publication details. So this is a particular structure. When we go to the APA, American Psychological Association citation style, which is mainly used by the psychologists, social scientists, etc. Here references is the name given and the author's name. Second part is at the beginning, then the first part. The first part can be a single letter or a word. And then the difference from MLA is that here the year and the particular month and date are shown in brackets. That is immediately follows this author's name. So in the bracket you can see the year 1998, January 19. So that is a speciality in APA citation style. In CSE citation style, another format is used here. You can see the difference here. And in Chicago application, Chicago style, its application is mainly in the history related research. Here you can see the name as bibliography and two part in a sentence, then the title name and the publication name, then the number, the issue number, and the year in brackets, and then the page numbers, the particular pages we are referring, that is at the end. So different types of or different styles of citations are used in these different styles. And the parenthetical notes is very important. That is actually a brief information about the source, usually the author's name and the year of publication, and a page number. These three informations are enclosed in a parenthesis. In the two styles, MLA and APA, you can see the difference. Here, MLA, you can see only the author's name and the page. Not the year is mentioned here, but in APA style, the year is also mentioned. Then, note numbers, footnotes, and endnotes. This is also very important. Here you can see a particular part of the article, and the reference is shown at the end. And in the right side also, the numbers, like here you can see 2. 2 is the footnote, the corresponding footnote. The number 2 is cited somewhere in the text, and that 2 is indicated at the end of the page. That is a footnote or endnote. Then why we cite, or what is the use of the citation? It allows your readers to locate the sources you used in order to verify the information or to do their own research on that subject. It shows how your research builds on the research of others. So it's an important part of academic integrity. So the MS Word will help you in citation. For example, in the latest versions, the latest Microsoft Word versions, and especially in Mac 2011 version, you can generate a citing automatically. So that is shown here. In this window, you can see number 1. This is the document elements. Document elements in this yellow square bracket or this rectangle. And in that, you can see number 2 here, manage. Manage is the subtab under the reference. So document elements, reference, then in that subtab, manage, you can see. You click that thing. Then a citation manager will open up. Citation manager, this number 1. This is called citation manager. And here it is empty because we add nothing to it. For adding, we click the plus that is shown in number 2. You plus that click, and then you can see a dialog pop-up will come. This is number 3. So they ask to create a new source. In that, the number 4, we refer the type of source, like a book or journal or something that we can select. Then we give the details like author, title, city, publisher, editor, etc. That every details we can add here, and then give press OK. So that every details will be added to each. Then again, we can suppose we add some other details of another reference work. We repeat this process. We press the or click the plus button, and then we add the details of the other book or other journal. So in that way, we can add maximum number of articles or books or online details, etc. that we are referring. So we can complete. In that way, we can complete that thing. And then we want to insert that particular reference we are added to our research article body. For that, you place the cursor where you want to add. For here, you can see number 1 here. number one, there is a location where we want to add that particular citation, that particular reference. So he placed here. Then we double click. We double click the reference in the citation list in the right side. Citation list is shown here. Then you suppose we want to add this Avigal 1996. That particular element you select and click there. Then that article, that reference article will come automatically here, and in that way we can select. So wherever we want to fix that particular reference, first we place our cursor in that text of the body, and then we select the citation from the list, click the one which we want, then automatically it will come here. So that is the method of inserting a reference in the body. And how to generate a bibliography. Here also we click the bibliography button, that is right of this manager, this bibliography button. Then two things will come. One is bibliography and the other one is worksite. Two are same but two different formats. Whichever we want, we select that thing, and then we click at the end of the paper. Normally we use or we place the bibliography or reference at the end of the paper. And at the end of the paper, here it is shown as 3. We click that thing. We click. We give just a click there. Then automatically the bibliography will come there. That is printed there. So that is the way of generating bibliography. I'm saying because this is an automatic way of generation of reference or bibliography. We don't need to add so many things by manually. And moreover, there's a problem is that when we add manually, what happens? Suppose we want to change the number, or we want to add some extra reference in between, or we want to change the order, then everything will be in a trouble. So that in order to avoid that thing, we use this automatic setup that is available in the latest versions of MS Word. And when we cite references in the body, only the last name of the author and the year of publications are given. Here, example, Book Juice 1970. The author's last name and the year are shown here. And then if a page number is available, then that can also at the end. Suppose two authors paper. Suppose there are two authors paper, then we use always last names. Click on Clark are the last names of the two others. No need to put the first names. And then the year. Suppose there are authors with more than 2, then we need not type all these last names. It's a very tedious, heavy process. For that, we use et al, ETAL, et al, or and others. That is enough. So suppose there is no identifiable author. We are not sure who is the author of a particular paper. Then we use unknown. That means anonymous. Then year. So unknown.1996 is a paper in 1996 published, but the author is we can't identify. Okay, then we do not use direct quotes from published material. Always we try to avoid direct quotes from published material. If only the emergency comes, then only we use direct quotes, and it should be properly cited. And all citation entries should be listed in an alphabetical order. And the author's last name we should indicate. If the same author are cited for more than one paper, having the same order of authors' names, the paper should be listed in chronological sequence by year of publication. That means you are referring a particular author. We refer, say, 3 papers of the same author. Then how do we cite? We cite the author's first paper in the beginning. For example, he published a paper in 1995-2000. So when we refer or when we do the when we write in the reference section, the article published in 1990 will be shown first. Then 1995, the second paper, or in 1995, that will be in second. And the last paper will be at the end. That chronological order or sequence should be maintained. The author's names must be listed in the citation in the same order as in the articles. So that's also very important. And suppose if the same author are cited for two or more papers published in the same year, we already say that in different years we use the earlier year in the beginning. But now we are come across a situation where a paper is cited, two or more papers are cited within the same year by the same author. Then we place a small case letter after the year to denote the sequence in which you refer to them. For example, you can see here the author Big Juice, the same author, two different papers. Year is also same, but the we in that condition we use a small letter A and B at the end. A and B at the end. That is in a random manner, and you should use this paper A at the beginning and this paper at the end. It's actually for indication. There is no rule which one should become first. There is no rule. We select A or B, then we put A as the first and B as the second. So that is the tip behind it. And now I think that the time is now 2:45. So I queued some slides regarding this journal article, its formats, for different formats. For example, I just say about a journal only. I quit all other things. Here you can see a journal. When you write a reference about a journal, you should use this format, like authors, date, article title, journal title, volume or issue, location. That should be the sequence. And here an example is given: Mason, M.R. Hoffman, A.M. Two authors. Then year will come. Then the article title. Then journal title. After that, journal title. Then volume, and in bracket issue. Then the page numbers. So this is the reference, style of reference at the end. So in different formats, there are different types of styles. That's according to the style. But the format is like this. And suppose you want to quote as an indexed citation in the text, then you can use this thing, that is Mason and Hoffman, and then year. Mason and Hoffman 2001 is the indexed citation format that is used in the text only, in the writing, throughout the writing. At that time you can refer this thing, but the detailed one will be listed at the end. So a lot of such things are here, but due to lack of time, I'm just quitting all these things. And if anybody wants this type of things, there's a lot of things related with how to cite a book, how to cite a journal with a single author, different authors, and suppose an organization is writing an article, then how we will do. Suppose an author and editor or a translator is also there, then what we will do. Or we want to put a chapter in the article, then what we will do. Or if it is a multi-volume work, then what we should do. Or we always use thesis or personal communications. Personal communications are very important because there is no reference there, because there is no published material is there, only a personal communication. In that context, you use the author's name or the person who is communicating with you. Say C. Mausi is the person who is communicating to you this information, and then you say personal communication, pers com. So that is a format. So for a patent or a newspaper or a DVD, different types of formats are there. In the internet citations also, that everything will be with this slides. If anybody wants that I will surely I will be sent to you. Then I come to the citation index. Citation index is a kind of bibliographic index, an index of citations between publications, allowing the user to easily establish which later documents cite which earlier documents. Citation index is nothing but an index or a weightage factor of a particular journal. Using that index, you can see which journal is most important one, or which journal is more good as compared to other, according to the citation index. So different types of citation index are already available, like SCI, Science Citation Index, Social Science Citation Index. In arts and humanities, AHCI is the citation. Google Scholar is very famous and important. So most of us have a Google Scholar account. Scopus also developed another citation index, Scopus or Elsevier's. Also, for different areas, for example, high energy physics, there is a particular open access subject specific citation index category is there. Inspire Help. Inspire Help is a site for high energy physics related citation details. PubMed is related with the life science and biomedical topics. So in that way. And Web of Science is a website which provides subscription-based access to multiple databases that provide comprehensive citation data for many different academic disciplines. So Web of Science is a coordinated website which provides access to multiple databases. So that is the first page of its site, Web of Science. And H index is very important thing. H index is an index for a particular author. It is specific to a particular author. An author level metric that attempts to measure both the productivity and citation impact of the publication of a scientist or scholar. That I will discuss in the next slide. It is actually suggested by George Hirsch, hence the name Hirsch index or Hirsch number or H index in 2005. And here we can calculate the H index. H index is very important, or that is specific to a particular author. So every author has assigned with a particular H index number. That is actually a representation of his research quality. H index is the maximum value of H such that the given author or journal has published H papers that have each been cited at least H times. That means here you can see this is a graph. Here in x-axis the number of papers are shown. In the y-axis the corresponding citations are given. And the highly cited papers are in the beginning of this x-axis. Here the most cited papers are here. So naturally their citations are top. Here it's very high. And as the x-axis progresses, the citation number also decreases. That means here you can see a paper. You have a paper with a very minimum number of citations. But in the beginning, you have a paper with a large number of citations. So in that, please tell. Hello? Anybody say something? Okay. I'll continue. And here you can see you select a few papers, say H papers. H papers you select, and that H papers will have at least H number of citations. If it happens, then we say you have an H index. I will explain with my own example. I have a Google Scholar. This is my Google Scholar account. Here you can see a number of articles or you have written, that is written in that site with the most number of citations at the beginning. Here my first paper is cited by 10 people or 10 other papers. Its published year is 2014. And next paper, next most cited paper is this one with the 5 number of citations that published in 2018. So in that way, a lot of articles are listed here. And here you can see in the right side, you can see an H index. My H index is 3. He's 3. And my total number of citations are 25. Here H index is 3. Here H index 3 means that I have at least 3 number of papers. I have at least 3 number of papers with more than 3 citations. With more than 3 citations. Here, one is 10, 5, 4. So these 3 are more than 3. More than 3. Or okay, then we say that my H index is 3. I can't say my H index is 4 because I don't have 4 number of papers with at least 4 citations. I don't have 4 number of papers with at least 4 citations. I only have 3 papers with 3 or more than 3 citations. That is a way of calculating the H index. That is shown here. Here in this box, you can have 3 papers. I have 3 papers with 3 or more than 3 number of citations. So that is, in that way we can calculate the H index. So that is a particular example with a Google Scholar. And then review sites are very important. Review sites, the Publons is one of the famous review sites. If you are a reviewer or if you want to review some articles for some others, then you should give or you should come to this Publon site. It's a very well famous site. Here you can see your number of publications that you are added here, and then the verified reviews, how many reviews you have done that are verified and such things. And here your most cited publications are listed here, and your verified reviews are shown. Here I can see International Journal of Robust and Nonlinear Control. I have 5 reviews. I have done 5 reviews. And in IEEE, I have done 3 reviews. So that summary is shown here. And moreover, in different years from 2014 onwards, how many citations I will get. And here my reviews. In 2016, I have done 1 review. 2018, I have done 2 more reviews in that way. And reviews per month. You can calculate these things per month also. January 2016, I have done one review. And also these particular things will corresponding to different reviews at different times. So these are actually the reviews done by me. And if you want to do some research, and if you want to, if you have some interest to, you focus in the research field, you should have you should generate these types of accounts like Google Scholar or ORCID or such ResearchGate. So many sites are available. You should take account on all these things, and in the review sites also, because when you go to some other place or when you go to a industry or some interviews or some other places, you are mostly referred by or you are mostly reviewed by your number of citations and your performance in these particular sites. So in nowadays you can see in the resume, many people will inform or indicate their profiles, their Google Scholar profile or ORCID profile or ResearchGate profile. That will be come at the beginning. Then only everything will be later. So that is the now. This is a method by which the other people will review you. That is a method. And in the citations, suppose you want to get more citations for your paper, a few things you should follow, or few things you should care about. The first one is the language of your presentation. So language is the most important one, because we are non-native English people. Our mother language is not English. So we are having very difficulty in presenting our ideas. So most of the publications, almost 60 to 70% of publications are from Europe, the native English region. So their language is very important. And if your content is very good, technically it's okay, perfect. Even then, if your language is poor, then there's a chance of getting published. Your paper is very poor or very less. So you read so many papers with in good journals, and you check the sentence structure or the grammatical things, check in detail, and then you write or rewrite. That is the way. So that is one thing. Second one is the presentation, the technical presentation in an experimental point of view is very important, because we are always doing or generating so many papers with no uh, experimental background. We are doing or just doing some simulations that will not be published by other people. They don't want to publish. If it is a very high analytical or such type of purpose, that will be okay. Otherwise, the experimental point of view only they consider. So such things are very important. So I am actually concluding my presentation. Now I think the time is nearly 3. If anybody wants to ask some questions, one or two, I will answer. Hello.
If anyone has got questions, please ask.
Or if you hello.
Yes, sir.
If you don't have any questions, then we can stop this program. You can call the
Okay,
the
assuming no questions,
oh,
we'll come into the conclusion. Sir, thank you so much. All the points were clearly stated and properly aligned. You had highlighted various points like evolution of plagiarism, starting right from the start, evolution of plagiarism, the difference between plagiarism and copyright infringement, the different ways to avoid plagiarism, citation styles and its indexes, how to write a reference about a journal, Web of Science, the importance of Web of Science, H index, and also you were speaking about Publoans, which is a very famous review site. Thank you, sir, for giving us a lot of information about on the session, and thank you for sparing your valuable time with
uh,
us.
thank you all people once again for coming and listening this my presentation. And especially I am thanking to one of my students, Mr. Mahesh. He is studying in 6th semester BTech in electrical department. He is doing all these things, behind the presentation. He has done a lot of things, and I am giving my thanks to him also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you, sir. Now, may I invite Mahesh Krishna, S6 student, Triple E, to propose a word of thanks.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. We have successfully completed the first webinar conducted by the Research Cell LMCST. Topic was impact of plagiarism and citation on research article writing. First, I would like to thank Dr. P.P. Mohanlal sir, Principal LMCST, for officially inaugurating the webinar. Your support and inspiration made us to conduct the webinar, sir. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank Dr. Johnson, Associate Professor LMCST, for taking a wonderful session on the topic plagiarism and citation. The session was very informative. Thank you, sir, for spending your valuable time with us.
Thank
Next,
you.
next, I would like to thank Sunu Miss from MBA department for anchoring the session. Thank you, ma'am. Last but not the least, I would like to thank everyone who participated in this webinar. Hope everyone enjoyed the webinar in a good manner. Without your support, we can't make this webinar a successful one. So thank you all. May God bless you. Have a nice day.
And one more thing, the participants who are come to this session will get the certificates later. We will send the certificates to your mail, and shortly you will get a feedback link that also we will send. Then you please fill that feedback link. Then you will get the certificates. Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
sir, another important announcement too. Those who have not received the meeting link via email, we are sorry for that. Please contact me. I will display my phone number on the chat box. Send your full name to the number so you may receive the feedback link and the e-certificates. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Okay.
You, sir.
Thank you all for joining the session. Thank you.
The meeting has been over. Everyone may please leave. Thank you. Hello. The meeting has been over. Everyone can leave now.